He died at sunrise. Quiet. Alone. In a mansion filled with people who claimed to love him, but only loved his money. The billionaire's heart stopped. And with it, every mask in that house began to crack. His children stood in the hallway. Not crying. Just waiting. Like vultures perched on velvet. A nurse pulled the white sheet over his body. Soft. Final. Cold. But beneath that sheet, he left something behind. Something heavier than wealth. Something sharper than grief. A final gift. A final truth. A final weapon. The family didn't know it yet. But that truth would tear their world apart. Rip open every fake smile. Expose every hidden sin. The mansion felt different now. Hollow. Too quiet. Like it was holding its breath. His eldest son stepped forward. Already calculating. Shares. Assets. Control. The empire. He wanted it all. His daughter stood beside him. Cold eyes. Shaking hands. Not from sadness. From nerves. Secrets lived inside her. Dangerous ones. And the youngest. He wasn't even looking at the body. His eyes were locked on the safe in the corner of the room. He had plans. Dark ones. They all believed they knew what was coming next. The will. The money. The fight for the throne. But none of them saw the envelope. The black one. Hidden under the billionaire's pillow. Waiting. Silent. Deadly. It carried his handwriting. Sharp. Precise. Final. Do not open until all are present. A command from beyond the grave. And inside that envelope. Justice. Harsh. Unfiltered. And aimed at the very people pretending to mourn him. They didn't know it yet. But the real story, the real war, the real truth, was about to begin. They gathered in the gold-lined living room. Not for grief. Not for memory. For one reason only. The will. The billionaire's lawyer stood in the doorway. Small frame. Steel eyes. He looked like a man carrying a bomb. Because he was. The family sat apart. Each in their own corner. Like enemies. Not siblings. The air felt thick. Heavy. Charged with unspoken hate. A storm brewed outside. Winds slamming windows. Shadows trembling along the walls. Almost like the house itself was waiting. The lawyer placed the black envelope on the table. Gently. Respectfully. Too respectfully. It unsettled them. The eldest son leaned forward. Hungry. Impatient. He believed the empire belonged to him. By birth. By power. By ego. The daughter folded her trembling hands. Eyes darting. Hiding. Always hiding. Her secret lived inside her ribs like a trapped animal. The youngest brother kept glancing at the door. Waiting for someone. Someone he didn't want the others to meet. Someone tied to his own darkness. The lawyer cleared his throat. Firm. Controlled. He opened the envelope. A single key slid out. Small. Old. Silver. It hit the table with a sound too loud for its size. A hush fell. The kind that bruises the air. The lawyer unfolded the letter. A long, slow motion. That made tension sharpen like a blade. The billionaire's handwriting stared back at them. Bold. Uncompromising. The lawyer began to read. If you are hearing this, then my time has ended. Before my wealth is divided, my truth must be revealed. Every sibling stiffened. Truth. Not money. Truth. A word they feared more than poverty. Thunder growled outside. Lights flickered. Shadows twisted on the walls like reaching hands. The lawyer continued. This key opens a room you've all forgotten. Because you wanted to forget. A room holding what you buried. What you denied. What you destroyed. The daughter's breath hitched. The eldest son clenched his jaw. The youngest swallowed hard. The lawyer paused. He felt the weight of every pair of eyes on him. Go to the East Wing. Open the room. Face what you left behind. Only then will my will be revealed. A command. A challenge. A trap. They couldn't tell which. The eldest son took the key. Tight grip. White knuckles. He marched toward the east wing. Determined. Shaking. Pretending not to be afraid. The others followed. Not willingly. But drawn by something deeper. Older. Darker. The hallway grew colder with each step. Lights dimming. Floorboards groaning. As if someone unseen walked among them. The east wing door stood ahead. Tall. Dusty. Locked for decades. The eldest brother slid the key into the lock. It turned too easily. Too smoothly. Like it had been waiting. The door opened. Slow. Painful. Revealing nothing but darkness. A darkness that felt alive. The siblings stood frozen. Silence pressing against their ears. Their hearts. Their guilt. Then, a soft sound. Barely there. A whisper of movement from inside the room. Their past. Their secret. Their curse. Waiting for them in the dark. The darkness swallowed them whole. Cold. Thick. Heavy like wet earth on a coffin. A single pull chain light hung from the ceiling. Untouched for years. Maybe decades. The eldest brother reached for it. Hand trembling. Just slightly. But enough to betray him. He pulled. The bulb flickered. Struggled. Then ignited the room in a pale, sickly glow. Gasps. 3 at once. Sharp. Uncontrolled. Because the room wasn't empty. The walls were covered in photos. Floor to ceiling. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. Every photo was of one woman. Not their mother. Not a mistress. Not anyone they remembered. A young woman with tired eyes. Lonely eyes. Eyes that had been watching them from the walls all this time. A woman erased from family history. Cut out. Burned. Buried. Yet here she was. In full. Inescapable. Her name whispered across the room like a ghost they'd failed to silence. Eva! The daughter staggered back. Hand over mouth. As if the photos might reach for her. The eldest brother stared hard at the floor. Refusing to meet the eyes on the walls. Those eyes that knew what he'd done. What they'd all done. The youngest brother sank into a chair. Old. Rotting. The cushion hissed dust into the air. He inhaled guilt with every breath. Eva. Their father's first child. Their half-sister. Hidden. Unclaimed. Unwanted by them. Because she didn't fit the perfect family image. Because she didn't fit the optics. Because she was born before the empire rose. The lawyer stepped inside last. Calm. Expression unreadable. He pointed to the center of the room. A table. Simple. Wood. A single item on top. A small metal box. Locked. The same key they had just used matched its shape. Perfectly. Deliberately. The eldest brother gripped the key again. Hard enough to draw blood. He approached the box. The daughter trembled beside him. She could already feel what was inside. Her past clawing up her throat. The youngest stood behind them. Shoulders hunched. As if bracing for a blow. The eldest placed the key into the box's lock. Twist. Click. Silence. The lid lifted. Inside. A stack of letters. Old. Yellowed. Edges burned. Some torn. Some stained with something darker than water. The daughter's knees nearly buckled. She knew these letters. She knew them too well. Because she was the one who hid them. Destroyed half of them. Buried the rest. The eldest brother froze when he saw the top letter. Recognized the handwriting instantly. The loops. The slant. The pain in every line. Eva's handwriting. The youngest brother took a step back. Away from the table. Away from the truth. Away from himself. Because Eva wrote to him the most. The lawyer's voice broke the silence. These are her letters to your father. And to each of you. Every letter you never answered. The daughter let out a sound. Not a sob. Not a scream. Something raw. Something broken. The eldest brother slammed the lid shut. Hard. Too hard. Desperate to keep the past locked inside. But the truth had already escaped. Filled the room. Poured into their lungs. And there was no door strong enough to keep it out now. The lawyer placed a second item on the table. A USB drive. Small. Black. Silent. More dangerous than any weapon. The lawyer stepped back. This contains her final message. The daughter choked. The youngest staggered. The eldest closed his eyes. Just once. A flash of weakness. Eva. Speaking from the grave. Carrying the billionaire's final revenge. The eldest brother grabbed the USB. Let's end this, he muttered. But the lawyer shook his head. Firm. Immovable. Not here. Not yet. Your father left instructions. The siblings froze. Instructions. The billionaire's final choreography. His final trap. The lawyer continued. You must watch the video. In the dining hall. A beat. Thick. Hollow. The dining hall. A place filled with their ugliest memories. The place Eva had been rejected. Humiliated. Banished. The place where everything began to rot. Thunder cracked overhead. The house shivered. The lights flickered again. The daughter wiped her face. But the tears kept coming. Like they had waited decades for this moment. The eldest brother walked toward the door. USB in hand. Jaw set. Heart shaking behind muscle and ego. The youngest followed slowly. Dragging guilt behind him like chains. The daughter stayed back for a second. Frozen. Eyes locked on one photo of Eva. A photo torn down the middle. Exactly the way she left her sister's life. She whispered a single line. A truth too late. I never deserved you. Then she followed the others. The hallway ahead felt endless. Dark. Cold. Hungry. The dining hall awaited. And Eva's voice waited with it. The dining hall loomed ahead. Tall ceilings. Long shadows. A room that once fed power. But starved love. The chandelier flickered. Weak. As if afraid of what was coming. The siblings entered in silence. Each step heavy. Each heartbeat louder. This was the room where Eva once stood. Shaking. Hopeful. Begging to be seen. And this was the room where they pushed her out of the family. With words sharp enough to bleed a life dry. The memories clung to the air. Suffocating. The lawyer placed a laptop on the long table. Old wood. Scratched from years of arguments. Deals. Power games. Betrayals. He plugged in the USB. The screen glowed. A cold blue light washing over their guilty faces. The daughter's breath hitched. The youngest gripped a chair for balance. The eldest stood rigid. Frozen in the posture of denial. The lawyer pressed play. Silence. A black screen. Static whispering at the edges. Then, a figure appeared. Eva. Thin. Worn. Eyes too old for her age. Eyes that had cried more than they ever would. No anger. No hate. Just exhaustion. The sibling stiffened. She opened her mouth. Her voice cracked across the hall like a ghost dragging chains. If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. The daughter collapsed into a chair. Shoulders shaking. Eva continued. I tried. I tried so hard to be part of you. I tried to be the sister you wouldn't hide. I tried to be the daughter he wouldn't erase. Her voice fractured. But she kept going. I wrote. You never answered. The youngest brother covered his face. He remembered every letter. Every unopened envelope. Every excuse. Eva stared into the camera. Into them. When father built the empire, he built it with me beside him. I was there before the money. Before the name meant anything. A pause. a tremor in her breath. But when he met your mother, I became a stain. A secret. A mistake to hide. The eldest brother's jaw tightened. He had heard this before. Once. Long ago. A memory he buried with force. Eva's voice grew softer. And you, my siblings, you didn't push me away because of who I was. A beat. A dagger. You pushed me away because you were afraid. Thunder cracked above. The chandeliers shook. Afraid that father would split the empire. Afraid I would claim what was mine. Afraid that sharing his legacy would shrink yours. The eldest brother flinched. Truth hitting like a fist. Eva's next words carved the room open. The night you told me to leave, I walked home in the rain. Not because I had nowhere else to go, but because I still hoped one of you would follow me. Silence stabbed them. None of them moved. None of them breathed. Eva's eyes glistened. No one came. The daughter sobbed, openly now. Broken. Small. Eva inhaled sharply. I lived quietly. Alone. But father found me. Years later. The siblings looked up fast. Shock. Confusion. Fear. Eva nodded on the screen. A bitter smile. Yes. He came. Alone. Ashamed. Her voice turned hollow. He apologized. The youngest staggered. The daughter froze. The eldest looked like someone had ripped bone from his spine. Their father. The untouchable king. The Iron Man. The billionaire with a stone heart. Apologized. Eva continued. He wanted to bring me back. But the guilt ate him. He said he couldn't face you. Another blow. Another fracture. So he left me a house. Quiet. Far. Safe. Her voice trembled. He visited sometimes. Not often. But enough to make me believe he cared. She looked down. Hands clasping tightly. A motion of someone trying to hold herself together. I forgave him. But I couldn't forget. Lightning flashed outside. White light slicing the room in half. Eva took a deep breath. Then her eyes hardened. Sharper. Colder. Filled with a truth they weren't ready for. But this message. This isn't about forgiveness. The siblings tensed. This is about what you did next. The daughter froze. The youngest held his breath. The eldest's eyes narrowed. Eva leaned closer to the camera. This is about the day you came to my house. Silence. A deep, violent silence. The daughter's face strained of color. The youngest swallowed. Hard. Eva continued. Calm. Deadly. The day you threatened me to sign away rights I never asked for. The eldest clenched the edge of the table. Wood cracking under his grip. The day you told me the empire would collapse if people ever found out about me. Her voice was steady. Too steady. The day you reminded me. I wasn't family. The laptop screen flickered. Static hissed. Eva's face blurred for a moment. Then the image snapped back. Her eyes were full. Not of tears. Of judgment. This message is the truth. But it's not the end. The siblings froze. Eva smiled. Soft. Sad. Knowing. Father recorded something too. The lawyer stepped forward. Pulled another flash drive from his jacket. Placed it beside the laptop. Gently. Like setting down a detonator. Eva's last line echoed through the hall. If you want what he left behind, you must face what you did to me. The screen went black. Silence swallowed the room whole. The siblings didn't move. Couldn't move. Because justice had only begun. And the billionaire's voice, their father's voice, was next. The room felt colder. As if Eva's words had carved open every window to winter. The siblings sat still. Silent. Gutted. Bare. The lawyer didn't speak. Didn't comfort. Didn't warn. He simply picked up the second USB. The billionaire's USB. The one every sibling feared more than any inheritance. He plugged it in. The laptop hummed. Lights flickered across the long table like restless ghosts. Then, their father appeared on screen. Not young. Not strong. Not the empire-building giant they remembered. Older. Thinner. Eyes carrying a lifetime of regret. He looked at the camera. And it felt like he was staring straight into their chests. Straight through them. Into the rot they hid. He cleared his throat. If this is being played, I am gone. The eldest brother swallowed hard. The daughter wiped tears with shaking fingers. The youngest closed his eyes. The billionaire leaned forward. I do not care about your sorrow. I care about your truth. A knife disguised as a sentence. You grew up believing the empire was yours. That bloodline meant power. That my love was a ladder for you to climb. His voice sharpened. But the truth is, you were raised on lies. The daughter stiffened. The eldest tensed. The youngest trembled. The billionaire continued. Relentless. Eva was my first child. My first mistake. And my greatest regret. The eldest brother flinched. Hard. As if the words struck skin. I hid her because I was weak. I abandoned her because I cared too much about reputation. And I let you, my children, inherit my cruelty. The daughter's breast shattered. A small, breaking sound. The billionaire exhaled slowly. I watched you grow arrogant. Entitled. Heartless. A pause. A beat. A judgment. Eva suffered because of me. But she broke because of you. The youngest let out a sob. Quiet. Ugly. Real. The billionaire didn't soften. I saw what you did the night you visited her. I had the cameras reviewed. I listened to every word. All three siblings froze. Every word. The daughter covered her mouth. The youngest shook violently. The eldest stared forward, hollow-eyed. The billionaire leaned closer to the camera. His voice dropping to a cold, surgical tone. You demanded she sign away rights that were already hers. You threatened her. You belittled her. You made her cry. His breathing grew uneven. The weight of his own failures crushing him even now. And when she collapsed after you left, none of you knew. Silence fell like a guillotine. You never checked on her. The daughter sobbed. The youngest broke entirely. The eldest clenched his jaw so tight it trembled. The billionaire straightened. You want my empire? He shook his head. Then earn it by doing what you never did. He raised a hand. Pointed towards something off-screen. The house you're sitting in holds more than wealth. It holds the truth you buried. Lightning cracked outside. The chandelier swayed. The billionaire's next words came slow. Intentional. Deadly. You will find Eva's final testimony. Her journals. Her records. Her truth. A pause. A cold breath. And you will face the last person she loved. The siblings looked up sharply. Confusion. Fear. Shock. Loved? Eva? Who? The billionaire nodded. Eyes heavy. You never met him. You didn't want to. A photo appeared on screen beside the billionaire. A young man. Gentle posture. Hard life in his eyes. Someone they had forced out of the family narrative. Someone they called a distraction. Someone they labeled beneath us. Eva's fiancé. The daughter's hand flew to her chest. The youngest whispered a curse. The eldest blinked hard, fighting the sting in his eyes. The billionaire continued. He is the one who found her when she died. A silence so brutal it hurt to breathe. He is the one who stayed with her body until help came. The daughter sobbed again. He is the only one who loved her without conditions. The youngest dragged a shaking hand through his hair. The billionaire leaned forward one final time. His voice turning from steel to something softer. More human. He deserves the truth. And so do you. He inhaled. Slow. Deep. Then delivered the blow. Half of my empire goes to him. The room exploded in emotion. Shock. Rage. Despair. Guilt. Chairs scraped. Breaths choked. The billionaire raised a hand to silence the chaos. The other half. A long pause. A cruel pause. Depends on what you choose to do now. The siblings froze. Frozen by fear. Frozen by choices they couldn't escape. The billionaire's voice dropped into something cold and final. Find Eva's truth. Face the man she loved. And face who you became. His gaze hardened. Like stone breaking. Only then will justice be done. The screen faded. Black. The laptop clicked. Soft. Dead. The dining hall fell into suffocating silence. Until a knock sounded at the front door. One knock. Heavy. Echoing. Deliberate. The siblings turned toward the sound. Hearts pounding. Because they already knew. Eva's fiancé had finally arrived. The front door creaked. A single shadow appeared in the hall. Tall. Quiet. Unshakable. The siblings froze. Their breaths shallow. Eyes wide. He stepped inside. Hands in pockets. Face unreadable. Eyes heavy. Carrying years of grief. And a calm fury they weren't ready for. He looked at them all. One by one. No words. Just silence. The eldest brother swallowed hard. His mouth dry. His fists tight. He wanted to lie. To charm. To manipulate. But the man didn't flinch. The daughter wanted to run. Anywhere. Anywhere but here. Anywhere but truth. The youngest slumped against the wall. His knees weak. Every memory of Eva's suffering crushing him at once. The man finally spoke. Voice low. Measured. Deadly calm. I loved her. Short. Simple. Too heavy to carry. The eldest brother flinched. The daughter gasped. The youngest trembled. I watched her fight. I watched her cry. And when she needed someone, I stayed. He stepped closer. Slow. Every movement deliberate. Every step a reminder of what they had done. You, he said, pointing at the eldest, threatened her. You, nodding at the daughter, ignored her letters. You, looking at the youngest, pretended nothing happened. No hesitation. No mercy. He let the words hang. Sharp. Cutting. Like knives slicing decades of lies. Your father may be gone, he continued, but the empire he built does not forgive betrayal. It does not forgive cruelty. The eldest brother stammered. I. He didn't finish. He couldn't. The man took a deep breath. Exhaled slowly. Every inch of him radiating control. I'm here for her legacy. I'm here for her truth. And I'm here to see justice done. Lightning flashed outside. The chandelier swayed violently. A long, low rumble shook the walls. The daughter covered her face. Tears falling freely. She remembered Eva. Laughing softly in the garden. Writing letters by candlelight. Hoping they'd care. The youngest muttered a prayer. Silent. Desperate. Empty. The eldest brother clenched his jaw. Heart racing. Ego quivering. All his schemes suddenly meaningless. The man moved to the laptop. Opened it. Played Eva's final video again. But this time, he paused at a frame. One specific frame. Eva smiling faintly. Handing over a small journal. This, he said, lifting the journal, is the truth. Everything you tried to bury is here. The siblings froze. The weight of decades pressing down. You all wanted her gone, he whispered. You failed. And now, it's your turn to face her story. The eldest brother's knees shook. The daughter trembled violently. The youngest slumped to the floor. The man opened the journal carefully. Pages filled with handwriting. Every word a dagger. Every line a mirror reflecting their cruelty. Read it, he said, voice like ice. Read it all. and know the consequences of your actions. The siblings obeyed, hands shaking, eyes wide, each page burning their souls. Secrets they thought were safe, exposed. Lies they told themselves, shattered. Family betrayals, laid bare. The man leaned back, watching, waiting, justice in its purest form unfolding before him. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the empire of lies began to crumble. Your father built wealth, the man whispered. But I inherited truth. And that is worth more. The eldest brother screamed. A guttural, hollow sound, echoing through the empty halls. Because money couldn't save him. Power couldn't save him. Not from what they had done. The daughter dropped the journal. Collapsed. Finally confronting the weight of her cowardice. The youngest looked at the man. Eyes full of shame. And for the first time, he admitted it. We were wrong, he whispered. All of us. The man didn't answer. He simply closed the journal, placed it back on the laptop, and looked at them with calm authority. Justice isn't mine to give, he said. It belongs to Eva. And she already gave it. Through every word, every recording, every truth you ignored. The siblings were silent, broken, defeated. The storm outside softened. But inside, the mansion still shivered, still carried the ghosts of their sins. The man finally spoke one last time. Learn from this, or you will continue to lose everything that matters. Because nothing is as valuable as the truth. He turned and walked to the door, leaving them with their shame, their guilt, their reckoning. The eldest brother sank to the floor. The daughter buried her face in her hands. The youngest slumped into the chair. And the mansion finally exhaled. The man left. The door clicked shut. Silence claimed the mansion. The siblings stared at each other. Broken. Exposed. Nothing left to hide. The eldest brother rubbed his face. Eyes red. Jaw tight. Pride shattered. We failed her, he whispered. Not loud enough to be a confession, but loud enough for the truth to sting. The daughter sobbed into the carpet. Tears soaked the floor. Tears that carried decades of cowardice, guilt, regret. The youngest knelt beside her, shaking, voice barely audible. We destroyed her happiness. All for greed. All for power. Lightning flashed outside. The chandelier quivered. The house seemed alive. Witnessing. Judging. The eldest brother got up, clutching his head. Eyes darting to the laptop and the journal. The journal that held Eva's life in ink. Her heart. Her suffering. He picked it up. Flipped pages slowly. Every letter burned. Every word pierced. The daughter joined him, her hand brushing against his. Both trembled. Both realizing the weight of their betrayal. The youngest opened a window. Cold wind swept in, carrying rain. Carrying whispers of Eva's laughter. Her voice. Her presence. She's gone, he murmured. And we're the reason. The eldest brother slammed the journal shut. Anger. Shame. Desperation. A storm inside him. The daughter turned to the eldest. Tears streaming. Voice breaking. We have to make it right. The youngest looked up. Confused. Unsure. How? She's gone. The eldest shook his head. We face it. We face him. The man she loved. We give him everything she deserved. No excuses. No delay. Thunder rolled across the sky. The storm matching the storm inside their hearts. They moved together. Slow. Silent. Purposeful. The lawyer re-entered. Silent as ever. He had been watching. Waiting. He nodded. She left everything documented. Follow the instructions. Nothing more. Nothing less. The eldest brother swallowed hard. Fear. Guilt. Shame. All mixing into one heavy ball in his chest. The daughter clenched her fists, anger fading into resolve, pain melting into purpose. The youngest finally spoke. We'll do it. For her. Outside, the storm subsided. Rain softened into drizzle. The clouds parted slightly. A faint golden glow touched the mansion. It was as if Eva herself watched from above. Silent. Judging. Forgiving. The siblings, for the first time in years, understood. It wasn't about wealth. It was never about wealth. It was about justice, truth, and honor. The eldest brother closed his eyes. Deep breath. The journal in his hands now felt like a key. Not to money. Not to power. But to redemption. They left the dining hall together. The mansion felt lighter. Yet every step reminded them of the weight they carried. In the east wing, the black envelope still lay. The key still gleamed faintly. A symbol of the father's final, harsh lesson. No one spoke. Words would fail. Only actions remained. The siblings had no choice. No escape. No shortcuts. Justice demanded reckoning. And Eva's legacy demanded truth. The siblings approached the mansion gates. The man who loved Eva waited. Tall. Still. Silent. Eyes like storms. The eldest brother stepped forward. Hands shaking. Voice rough. We want to make this right. The man's eyes didn't soften. Didn't forgive. Do you? He asked. Do you truly understand what you took from her? The daughter fell to her knees. Tears streaming. We do. We finally do. The youngest spoke through trembling teeth. We failed her. We betrayed her. We ignored her letters. We threatened her. All of it. And we are ready to face the consequences. The man nodded slowly. He didn't smile. But he allowed them closer. He handed back the journal. This is hers. Her life. Her truth. Read it again. Understand it. Then act. The eldest opened it carefully. Every word piercing deeper than before. Every memory they tried to erase resurfacing with force. The man watched. Patient. Silent. Justice incarnate. The daughter turned to him. We will give you everything she deserved. Every asset. Every inheritance. Every recognition. We are hers now, in honor. The man studied them. Long moments passed. Then he finally spoke. It is not enough to give me money. It is not enough to say sorry. You must live differently. Or her death, and your choices, mean nothing. The siblings nodded. Understanding. Acceptance. Pain. Regret. Lightning struck nearby. Shadows danced across the walls. The storm that had haunted the mansion lifted, leaving quiet. Peaceful. Harsh, but just. The man turned away. I will honor her memory. And I will carry her legacy. You must carry the lessons. He walked down the driveway. Slow. Purposeful. The mansion behind him heavy with silence. The eldest brother sank to his knees. Finally breaking. Finally humbled. Finally aware of the cruelty he had allowed. The daughter wept quietly beside him. Her shoulders shaking. Her soul lighter yet scarred. The youngest fell forward. Head to the ground. Tears mingling with the damp earth. For the first time in decades, the mansion felt empty. Not of life. But of lies. Deceit. Greed. The poison of a family broken. Outside, the sun finally broke through the clouds. A single golden ray fell across the estate, touching the mansion, the driveway, the siblings, the memory of Eva. And somewhere, silently, the billionaire's voice lingered. A reminder of harsh lessons, of truth, of justice, and of love, even in death. The siblings stayed there, humbled, shaken, changed, knowing that they could never undo the past. But they could honor it, and live differently. The mansion would always carry Eva's story, but the living could choose their part in it now. And the man who loved her? He walked into the sunrise, carrying the future she deserved. The estate was silent. Still. Harsh justice had been delivered. And the weight of greed finally lifted. Days passed. The mansion felt different. Air lighter. Walls quieter. The ghosts of greed and cruelty slowly receding. The eldest brother walked the halls alone. No pride. No schemes. Only reflection. Every photo. Every letter. Every memory of Eva pressed against his chest. He knelt in the east wing, where the black envelope had lain. The key still there. A symbol of truth. A symbol of reckoning. The daughter joined him. Silent. Not for comfort, but for acknowledgement. For a shared guilt. "We'll never forgive ourselves fully," she whispered. "But maybe we can honor her." The youngest stood by the window, watching rain turn into sunlight. Tears on his cheeks. "We were blind. But now we see." The lawyer entered quietly. No judgment. Only observation. He nodded. She wanted this. The truth. And now, it's out. Justice has its way. Outside, neighbors whispered. News traveled fast. The billionaire was gone. The inheritance divided. But more importantly, Eva's story was known. People from the town came by. Not for the money. Not for the gossip. But to acknowledge truth. The courage of the woman they never met. The reckoning her family had long avoided. The man who loved her returned to the estate one last time. Not to claim. Not to demand. Only to honor. He placed flowers in the east wing. Opened the journal. Smiled softly. Then left. Sunlight behind him. Her memory intact. Her justice preserved. The siblings gathered at the front steps. Quiet. No words. No excuses. Just a shared understanding. The mansion's walls seemed to sigh. The greed, the betrayal, the cruelty, all lifted. The estate now a vessel of lessons. The eldest brother finally spoke. We'll live differently. We'll make her proud, in some small way. The daughter nodded. We owe her that much. The youngest placed his hand on the journal. And her love, and her courage, will guide us. Thunder had passed. Rain cleared. Sunlight fell over the mansion. A golden glow on broken hearts. And a promise of renewal. The estate was silent. But this time, in peace. Months later, the mansion was quiet. But alive. Alive with memory. Alive with change. The eldest brother rebuilt himself. No more schemes. No more greed. He worked quietly, helping charities Eva had once supported. Every act of penance. Every step toward redemption. The daughter returned to the community. Volunteered. Spoke out about injustice. Shared Eva's story. Her tears had turned into action. The youngest traveled. Healed his heart. Acknowledged every wrong he had done. Every selfish act. And carried Eva's courage in his soul. The neighbors whispered. Some scolded. Some praised. But all knew the family had changed. Eva's truth had reshaped lives. In the east wing, the black envelope rested on a small pedestal. The key hung nearby. A reminder. A warning. A legacy of truth and accountability. The man who loved Eva returned one last time. Walked the halls. Touched the photos. Smiled softly. The mansion, once a place of greed, now hummed with peace. Her legacy secured. Her justice done. One night, under the full moon, the siblings gathered in the backyard. They spoke little. They shared glances. Tears. Silent understanding. And then it happened. A soft wind stirred. Carrying the faintest whisper. A voice, gentle, tender, unmistakable. I am proud. No one laughed. No one questioned. They only listened. The ancestral curse that had haunted their family. The legacy of greed, betrayal, and hidden cruelty. Felt lifted. Eva's courage had broken the cycle. Her sacrifice had reshaped the future. The mansion glowed in moonlight. The siblings stood together. Stronger. Wiser. Humbled. And somewhere, in the quiet, supernatural and serene, Eva's presence lingered. Not as anger. Not as vengeance. But as a guiding light. Her justice remained. Her legacy endured. Her family, finally, could heal. The wind whispered once more. Soft. Lasting. We are free, because of her. Silence fell. A perfect, reflective silence. Heavy with sorrow. Heavy with love. Heavy with justice. And in that silence, the world held its breath. The story ended. But her impact would never fade.